All right,
We ready?
we're ready.
All right. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Planning and Zoning meeting for Thursday, December 7th, 2023 for the City of Warrenton. We begin this evening with 4 public hearings before we go into the regular meeting. So our first item is going to be the public hearing for an amendment to section 405.195, which is overlay district. And Mr. Burks, can you please tell us about this public hearing?
So as a preliminary matter for this public hearing, I will ask that the publication notice published in the Warren County Record be made part of the record by reference. The city comprehensive plan and the city ordinance be made part of the record by reference, and the planning and zoning officer report be made part of the record by reference. Okay. The section 405.195 of the municipal code of the city of Warrenton, Missouri be amended by deleting section 405.195 in its entirety and enact in lieu of a new section 405.195 to read as follow. On this project or this amendment, some language change for the retail sales, so we can add different businesses in the overlay district that weren't allowed before. So the city attorney's here. He can answer any questions or explain anything on this amendment. Do you have any questions for me?
Anyone have questions for Mr. Burks at this time? All right, we do welcome comments from the public for any interest that they may have in this matter, and so we invite anyone that would like to speak for or against, or that has questions, to do so at this time. It appears we have no other comments, so we will close that public hearing, move on to our second, which is amendment to section 405.255, accessory structure, which is ADM 134. And Mr. Burks, you have the floor.
Okay. As a preliminary matter for this public hearing, I will ask that the publication notice be published in the Warren County Record, be made part of the record by reference, the city comprehensive plan and the city ordinance be made part of the record by reference, and the planning and zoning officer report be made part of the record by reference. This section, section 1, 405.050 of the municipal code of the city of Warrenton, be and hereby is amended by deleting the definition of accessory building or structure from section 405.050 and enacting in lieu thereof a new definition of accessory buildings and structures to be included as part of section 405.050 to read the following. On this amendment, the main change was we added the shipping containers. So they're not allowed as a accessory structure that we talked about in our meeting, and a few other changes in the code, but that was the main section of this code.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Burks at this time? And again, we invite the public to make comment in favor or in opposition to this matter. If anyone has any comment at this time, they may come forward. All right, we'll close that public hearing. The third public hearing is the Contractor Solutions Conditional Use and Site Plan, CUP 91 and SP 164. And Mr. Burks, would you like to start on that as well?
As a preliminary matter for this public hearing, I will ask that the publication notice published in the Warren County Record be made part of the record by reference, the city comprehensive plan and the city ordinance be made part of the record by reference, and the planning and zoning officer report be made part of the record by reference. This is the conditional use permit and site plan for Contractor Solution LLC. Contractor Solution LLC has submitted an application for conditional use permit and site plan approval for the 1029 Armory Way. It's 5 acres on the west side of Armory Road, north of the service road. The conditional use and site plans is to allow location to be used for a rental equipment business. The area is currently zone C3 highway commercial and was previously used for Jay's RV sales and repair. The conditional use in the site plan will meet the comprehensive plan. It meets all of the site plans and conditional use city code requirements. And staff analysis has reviewed the proposed conditional use permit and site plan. The proposal is consistent with Chapter 405, the regulations of the Warrenton Municipal Code. All items and notices have been provided and completed as required by state and local law. Representatives are here from Contractor Solution. They can answer any questions on the business that they're going to open. Have any questions for me?
Any questions for Mr. Burks on this one? Very good. Any comments from the public in favor or opposition or questions related to this public hearing? All right, we will close that one and move on to the final public hearing, which is Oakley Baseball Training, Conditional Use and Site Plan, CUP 92, SP 165. Mr. Burks, please bring us up to speed on that one.
As a preliminary matter for this public hearing, I will ask that the publication notice published in Warren County Record be made part of the record by reference. The city comprehensive plan and city ordinances be made part of the record by reference, and the planning and zoning officer report be made part of the record by reference. Conditional use and site plan, CUP 92 and SP 165. Project summary, the Dean and Chad Oakley have submitted an application for a conditional use permit and site plan approval for 0.95 acres on the east of North Market Street and south of Oak Lawn Avenue. The conditional use permit and site plan will allow a 5,000 square foot building with a future 600 square foot future office area for a baseball training facility. The location is currently vacant and is Zone R2 medium density residential. The site plan and comprehensive plan meets all the comprehensive plan for the city. Zoning analysis, the subject site is Zone R2 medium density single family residential. The city code includes recreational facilities as a conditional use within the R2 district. Parcels to the north, east, and south are Zone R2, medium-density, single-family residential, while the parcel to the west of the subject site is Zone R3, high-density residential. This is a piece that's on the east side of Market, just south of the railroad tracks there. Okay. The project meets all the conditional use, permit, and site plan city codes. Staff has reviewed the proposed conditional use permit and site plan. The proposal is consistent with Chapter 405 regulations of the Warrenton Municipal Code. All items and notices have been provided and completed as required by state and local law. Should be representatives here for this project if you have any questions.
All right.
Do you have any for me?
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Burks? And we open for comment from the public. And we have Mr. Bart Corman here, so we'll let him go first.
That's correct. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Bart Corman, Lewis and Beatty, 101 East Walton. Also have Dean Oakley. Here's one of the owners of the property. It's property there years ago. I think there was a duplex or a quadplex or something there many years ago. But it's basically between the big ditch and the tracks right there on Market Street on the south side of the railroad. Isolated little spot there, and I want to put in a little recreational facility for baseball training, and parking lot, pretty simple, basic, nothing too fancy, but I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
So for the baseball training, batting cages, I'm just thinking it's a residential area. Is it planned on being enclosed?
Yeah, it's a steel frame, steel building. It's a building, so it'll be indoor facility. Mm-hmm.
No plans for anything outdoor.
No, I mean a parking lot. I mean
Right.
that's all we can fit on there is a building and a parking lot. We got a big ditch to the south, so a good portion to the south is going to remain trees because of that ditch. There's really nothing we can feasibly do with it. And then to the east, we're leaving a 10-foot buffer of trees there, and then it's still trees further on to senior apartments over there, so there's a pretty good buffer naturally there. Most of it will be on the neighbors, but because of that ditch, nobody can really do anything unless they want to spend a lot of dollars rerouting that ditch or piping it, so.
Anything else from Mr. Corman? And thank you, Mr. Corman. Do we have anyone else that would like to speak in favor of or in opposition to this public hearing? Or have questions?
I did have one other question. Do we know what the proposed hours of operation will be?
That is something I don't have. It'll probably be mostly evenings due to the fact that's when you can work with
Right.
your kids and
More
and do
interested in
that.
how late?
Yeah.
It won't be no later than that, I would say.
9 PM?
Later than that.
Probably no later than 9 or 10. I mean, your kids should be going to bed about by then. You know, during the summer, obviously, probably maybe a little later than during the winter, but yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything further from anyone? All right, we'll close that public hearing. And now we do also have two other matters, not public hearings, but we are allowing for public comments on a request to vacate right-of-way for Hawthorne Hills Drive. And that is then going to be item number 6 on our regular agenda. Do we have any public comments, questions, or concerns regarding that? Oh, and Mr. Burks, were you going to?
Well, I was going to,
Yeah, we'll let you give your summary and then we'll,
okay.
my mistake, jumped the gun there, Bart.
Okay, approval request for a proposed right-of-way vacate. Listen Beatty Incorporated, on behalf of Warren Center LLC, has submitted a request to vacate 0.13 acres of right-of-way known as Hawthorne Hills Drive. The vacate is necessary to make the proposed street alignments for the Forestdale subdivision work well with the subdivision construction plans. The existing right-of-way was created in anticipation of the development with smaller R3 lots. The vacate would put the right-of-way back to prior to the boundary adjustment plat that created it. The vacate, along with the record of the plat of Forestdale, will create a consistent street right-of-way that will match the pavement that's currently existing, and with the proposed pavement with the development of Forestdale subdivision. So that's all I have.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Corman.
Sure. So Tim did a good job explaining it. So basically, we talked about it just slightly maybe in the preliminary plat of Forestdale. But we're coming right off the cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sac pavement is there, but the right-of-way was boundary adjusted years ago because there was plans to do, high density single family back there, and so that was going to be the route. So the boundary adjustment plat got done for that access, but then when we came in with the lower density residential, that route didn't work. We were coming off the cul-de-sac, and so this basically vacation creates a better lot to the north, basically, without having a little notch out of it. But that's really what the purpose of this vacation is for.
Anyone have any other questions? Any other comments? All right. We'll close public comment and then move to the final public comment, which is the related Forestdale final plat.
This is Forestdale subdivision, SUBD 118. Bart Carmen of Lewis and Beatty Surveying and Engineering has submitted a final/record plat application on behalf of Warren Center LLC for a 67.54 acre tract of land on the north side of North Service Road, west of Hawthorne Tree. The final plat is consistent with a preliminary plat previously approved for the subject site by the City of Warrenton Board of Aldermen on September 19, 2023, with ordinance number 2798 and bill number 7023. The final plat, I put a project overlay of the subdivision on the map so you kind of see how it's laid out, unlike the preliminary plat. Let's see, this The staff has reviewed the proposed final record plat, and the proposal is consistent with Chapter 405 regulations of the Warrenton Municipal Code. All items and notices have been provided and completed as required by state and local law. Okay. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Mr. Burks? Okay. Mr. Corman, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So basically, the same comments that we had from the preliminary plat, now we're to the point, we're almost done with construction plans. We have comments back from the city on that. So we're going to tweak a few items to meet that, so we'll be ready for construction. The interpretation of some of the statutes, or the ordinances in Warrenton, we have to have all this approved before we can start construction. And so therefore, that's why you're seeing this now instead of a little later. But we need to get that approved so they can start construction, because we need to clear some trees during that bat window, which is now until spring. So it's pretty critical for anybody in development now to make sure that they can clear trees during that habitat window. So.
I have a quick question. I don't remember if we talked about where mailboxes will go here, or is it something that would not have that general, I can't remember where the subdivisions,
Sure.
general things.
Yeah, so the mailboxes will go on the common ground in easement number 2. There's about 3/4 of an acre. It's that front part south of the cul-de-sac, the existing cul-de-sac on Hawthorne Hills. So we're going to put the mailboxes there on that common ground. We're leaving that common ground up front, just north of those apartments, just to keep a buffer there, and instead of trying to put a house right on that part. So.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions, comments, or concerns? All right, we'll close public comment on Forestdale final plat. That now will bring us to the opening of our Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Thursday, December 7th. And the first item on the agenda will be the minutes from the November 2, 2023 Planning and Zoning meeting. You've all got that in your packets. Has anyone got any questions or corrections for the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as displayed for November 2023.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cullum, second by Mr. Cornell to approve the minutes as submitted for the meeting of November 2nd, 2023. Any other comments or questions? All right, we'll have a roll call vote.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Barton is absent. Mr. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Priest is absent. Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Mrs. Cullum?
Yes.
Ms. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
I will abstain, I was absent. And so the motion to approve carries by a vote of 7-4, 1 abstention, 2 absent. All right, second item on the agenda is going to be the discussion for amendment to section 405.195 for overlay district ADM 133. Mr. Burks told us about that a few minutes ago. And so now we need to know what everyone's questions and ideas are on that.
Can we get back? I forget what are we changing exactly? I read the thing, but I didn't really understand what's the difference.
The words in red are the new words that are replacing the
Right,
words.
so
in the
are we
description.
just changing definitions?
Yeah, so the definition, it's adding a definition of retail sales, which makes it clear as to what types of businesses can and cannot be located in the overlay district.
Okay, thank you.
And correct me if I'm wrong, my recollection is that when the overlay district was created, the intention was that it would be primarily retail in the sense that it would generate sales tax revenue. And so that overlay district, the intention was to kind of reserve that area for businesses that would generate sales tax as opposed to professional services and things of that nature that don't generate revenue for the city.
Yeah, that is my understanding as well, that's correct.
And this makes it a little easier
Yes, yeah.
To make that happen?
Interpretation-wise, yes.
Okay. I do notice that the variance clause F under, and what I guess that's paragraph B, it strikes the Board of Adjustment variance process for that.
Well, it doesn't strike it per se, because anybody's entitled to seek a variance, but it was just duplicative to state that, because you can seek the variance by law without having to have it stated within the regulation.
Okay, I was just curious. I don't ever remember there being a variance on this matter anyway, but, okay. Anyone have other questions, comments, or concerns on 405.195 overlay zoning district, ADM 133?
Make a motion to approve the changes to 405.195 overlay zoning districts as displayed and discussed.
Seconded.
We have a motion by Mr. Cullum, second by Mr. Cooper to recommend approval of the amendment to section 405.195 overlay zoning district, ADM 133. Any other questions, comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Ms. Cullum?
Yes.
Ms. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries by a vote of 8-0 with 2 absent, and will come before the Board of Aldermen for final ratification at their meeting on Tuesday, December 19th. Correct? Okay. All right, let's move on now to item number 3, amendment to section 405.255, accessory structure, ADM 134. Mr. Burks told us earlier that this was primarily related to defining the shipping container question and specifically prohibiting those. Any questions? Anyone have other thoughts or ideas on that?
No, but I just want to confirm, this is official from what we had discussed on our workshop, right?
Yes.
Okay, we're just official, making it official, okay? Thank you.
I had one, and this isn't really a material change. I do notice that what drew my attention was striking vehicle storage and classifying that as private garages, maybe located in the side or rear yard, as opposed to an accessory building which must be located in the rear yard. What delineates between an accessory building and a private garage? Just an overhead roll-up door, or?
So the reason that change was made is because the definitional provisions had the term vehicle storage, and so defining it as a private garage allows it to be incorporated into the ordinance better in terms of whether or not it's accessory building or not. So we didn't want to create confusion by using a term that's already defined elsewhere.
I understand, and I guess my question is, if I want to build on my lot, if it's an accessory building, it's required to be in the back, in the rear yard, but if it's a private garage, it can be in the side yard.
Correct.
What's the difference between an accessory building and a private garage?
I think, again, the private garage was separately defined as well, so I would have to do further research
Okay.
on that exact question, but the definitional reason was the reason, or, excuse me, definitional was the reason for that change.
Okay, thank you.
I recall, it's probably been 15 years, and I know Mr. Barton, if he were here, I think would have recalled as well. We had at least one request many years ago for someone to use a storage container, I think as an addition to the actual residence. And I know that it was declined, was prohibited. So have we not had any definition of storage containers at all in the code up until this point, if we ratify this?
Well, I know they were not allowed for a residential use.
Okay, so now we're just clarifying that they can't be for storage. And it just so happened I was out in the county last week, and kind of a similar situation, except it was not shipping containers, it was actual semi-trailers that an individual in the county they've actually leveled land, and they have taken the wheels off and placed these, and I was visiting the neighbor who's a client of mine, but we were talking about that I guess the county has no code prohibiting that. How does a semi-trailer that's had the wheels taken off get viewed in the city's estimation if someone tried to get around the storage container prohibition with using a semi-trailer?
I don't believe that was discussed during our...
I'm only trying to think ahead, because for every time that we tighten something up, someone will come up with another way around, and so.
Right, and I've had inquiries on shipping containers, but never the semis with the wheels removed. And I don't believe that was discussed when we had our...
I only bring it up, it might be worth looking into as this moves forward towards the Board of Aldermen, that perhaps semi-trailers being added in as part of the prohibition. I don't think anyone would like a semi-trailer as a storage building next door any more than a storage container.
How many years did we have one at Bruni Parkway? The wheels weren't taken off, but they had bulldozed a ramp up to the back of it. It was storage. So 10 or 15 years it probably sat there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I only bring it up because if we're going to go through this process, there might be enough time to get the trailer question, enclosed trailer question added in and make it more comprehensive.
I'll check on that.
Okay. Anyone have other questions or concerns
Is
about?
that all that's being asked on this, is just the trailer thing? What is all of this down here? It's down below the detached accessory buildings and structure. The limits, the thing that I'm concerned about is the limits on the height that they can have structure out in the back of their house. And I think you got a 1 foot difference.
Right, so
Not so sure that I like that one.
So the direction that we were given was that to create an exception, so that way in case the board can have their standards to apply, if somebody were to come in and say, I want an accessory building, but it's above that, the height restriction, then there's a little bit of leeway there to grant exceptions based on these standards.
Yeah, so on our last workshop, this was from our last workshop, right?
Yes.
So if I recall, we had this conversation, we had like that in this room. And the request, or what I remember is including that exception in the ordinance, so that when there's a reasonable, there's a reason that it's legitimate, that, the BOA can have a chance to review it, whether or not to approve or deny. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
The example that was brought up, and it was an example a citizen had come to me, they had to raise the elevation of the floor to get it out for drainage, which put them about 10 inches above the height requirement. Not that this is drafted for that specific situation, but to address situations similar to that.
Any other questions or concerns? All right. What's your pleasure?
How do you say it? I make a motion to approve the changes on this section, ADM 134. Is it 134?
It is.
134. I do have a question before. Are we adding the trailer recommendation? Is that possible still here, or?
I'm going to check on that
Okay.
before it goes to the board.
Okay.
See if that can be...
With the condition to validate the trailer inclusion? Okay.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Cullum, second by Ms. Madden, to recommend approval of the amendment to section 405.255 for accessory building or structure ADM 134. Any other questions or comments? All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Mrs. Cullum?
Yes.
Ms. Madden? Yes. Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Durbin?
Yes.
And Ms. Madden, did you say yes? Yes. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. So motion passes by a vote of 8-0 with 2 absent, and again, will come before the Board of Aldermen for final ratification on Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. Next up, we have Contractor Solutions for their conditional use and site plan requests, CUP 91 and SP 164. And I see a couple gentlemen here we haven't heard from yet tonight, so I presume they're here to answer questions that any of you might have. And you gentlemen are welcome to come forward to make any comments or give any explanations you like. We will need you to state your names.
Thank you for the opportunity. We've done this in several cities, so we bring a lot of revenue to the city through our business. If you trying to see what kind of scope of business we do, we'd be like a United Rental, would be the closest variance to what we do. We're an equipment rental. We do a lot of safety training for the area. We work closely with the fire department on trench rescue and things like that. So we are a safety aspect of our business, but a lot of construction rental equipment as well. So.
So, go ahead, Dan.
What kind of equipment are we?
Great question. So we do, when you're driving down the road and you drive over those road plates that are covering the trench, we have those. We have generators, light towers, vacuum excavation trailers, so the trailers that pull behind pickup trucks where they pothole to find utilities and things like that. And then shoring equipment too, to keep the trenches from collapsing on the contractor. A lot of safety supplies, hard hat, safety gloves, things like that. A lot of retail in our storefronts. So.
Safety barrels,
No, we don't do any traffic control or anything like that. No, sir.
no portable restrooms.
Nope, no, nothing like that. Sorry.
Scissor lifts.
Nope, no,
Booms.
sir. No boom lifts. Everything we do is flat and metal, really, or towable behind a vehicle.
Okay. So certainly no excavating equipment, no high.
No
lifts,
excavation
dozers.
equipment at all. There's nothing like that. The only motorized stuff we have, like I said, are the generators, vacuum excavation trailers that are pulled behind a vehicle, but no backhoes or dozers or mini excavators, nothing like that. So,
Better.
pardon?
I'm feeling better about it.
Oh, there you go. Good.
So one of my concerns, and it's not particularly towards your business, more to the facility, that has gone through a couple reincarnations, but not a lot of maintenance on the property. I see that we have non-functioning lights in the parking lot. We've got light towers that are tilted over. I'm wondering how we address that.
That's a great question. When we, should I say, visit or evaluate the property that we want to take over, one of the things that we pride ourselves in is our appearance, when customers show up at our storefront. So we have addressed those issues with the current owner. He is fixing the light poles. He is going to make them all operational. We are going to clean up the inside considerably because it has been a little let go over the years. A lot of electrical issues through our fire marshal there. We had a good inspection. We're getting all that electrical work taken care of. We're doing all this in hopes that we get approved for the variance permit. But yeah, we keep everything clean, neat, and organized. We put more of our towables up front.
Okay.
They're clean, washed, ready to go on rent. So that's kind of our ready line. Freeway visibility is very important to us, being able to see our good, clean equipment. So we like to put that out front. Anything like our forklifts and stuff, they stay in the back. And what I mean by forklift is a forklift that we use to unload the trucks or delivery vehicles.
Saw it out there, yeah.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So, but no, we are having them repair some of those things. The building will get, we're submitting for our sign permit, so we'll have a new sign. We will do a lot of cleanup. So, and we have them sweeping the parking lot for us and all that. They scraped the entire building on the inside for us from the old RV, cleaned all the epoxy off the floor for us. So we kind of have a certain barrier that we like to keep, or our presence that we like to keep. So we have a lot of that getting fixed.
Thank you.
And they're adding some fence on the one side. They're going to close off the yard for us as well, because having our equipment secured is really, really important to us. So they offer to put fencing all the way around for us.
So you'll have fencing across the front?
No, the bollards are still going to stay where they're at. That's enough security for us that they
Yeah.
can't drive off with our
Yeah.
equipment, so.
And my concern is, although it does have highway frontage, there's a whole lot of residential around there too. So I appreciate that your intention is to have a presentable business.
Yeah, we like our image. We do very well with our image, and that's what we take a lot of pride in. We have our hours of operations, you guys know, are 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. usually, so there won't be any kind of noise restriction after that time to be worried with.
Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday. We're not open Saturday and Sunday. Now, if there's a water main break for the city and they need us, of course, we'd come in and help assist in that way, but that never happens. We're usually the first ones that get called, so. So, thank you.
I have one more question. So.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I remember. This is the one with where the Mosers is, right?
And next to
Right,
Moses,
yes.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not sharing any parking space with them, right?
With who?
There are other buildings next door to this, if I remember right. And there was like I can't remember if that was a common parking spot for customers.
No, it's all our property, all 5 acres.
Okay, thank you. Perfect.
Any other questions or comments? You all know the drill.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for Contractor Solutions as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Cornell and a second by Mr. Cullum. And Mr. Cornell, is your motion to recommend approval of both the conditional use permit and the site plan?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Conditional use permit and site plan, CUP 91, SP 164 for Contractor Solutions LLC. Any other questions or comments? All right, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dieterman,
Yes.
Mr. Cornell,
Yes.
Ms. Cullum,
Yes.
Ms. Madden,
Yes.
Mr. Costello,
Yes.
Mr. Cullum,
Yes.
Mr. Durbin,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
All right, motion passes now by a vote of 8-0 with 2 absent, and that again comes before the Board of Aldermen for the Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 meeting. Next on our agenda is Oakley Baseball Training, Conditional Use and Site Plan, CUP 92, SP 165. And we've heard Mr. Burke's presentation and Mr. Corman. Do we have questions? And would the applicants like to make any further presentation?
Wait, which one is this thing? Is this the indoor baseball?
Yes, this is the indoor baseball facility next to the railroad tracks at the corner of Market and Railroad.
Does this need a zoning change?
According to Mr. Burks, because it's recreational, and it's currently zoned R2, right?
It's a conditional
That's
use.
allowed.
Thank you.
Is this gonna be like a just one like a warehouse looking thing, where I'm trying to imagine that we have a gym like that, right, somewhere around.
I think Ms. Cullum brings up if you don't mind me
Yeah, go ahead.
adding on to it, brings up an interesting topic, and let me be clear, I think this is going to be a very good use for that lot. However, we have, I think fairly consistently since I've been on the board, when this is presented, we encourage at the very least an elevation to give us an idea of what the set. Right there, yeah.
Right. And this
That would be nice to
this
have
is
on this
not
document.
like an architectural sketch. It's just the pre-manufactured building, generic picture. But basically, I mean, you guys can get the basic of it. It's a steel frame, steel shelled building,
No brick, no, just,
no brick. Now, when they add the office, maybe they'll do something a little fancier on that part of it, but the main part of the structure is going to be pretty basic. 'Cause it's just got to need a roof and 4 sides is
Right.
what we need. I mean, it's going to be open in the middle for the most part for the cages, so.
So, I don't know, maybe this is anyway.
Get the microphone your way.
got a microphone so the folks listening.
There we go. Okay, so like the sound, isn't it kind of loud in like batting cages and stuff? Is it going to be like soundproof or anything that's going to?
It's going to be insulated, so that'll absorb a lot of it from the inside. It's going to have a couple garage doors on it, so there's a chance that maybe they'll have the garage doors open when it's really hot or something like that. But we guarantee it's going to be less quiet than the trains. So I can state that statement pretty safely, I think. So.
I was going to, you caught me. I was going to bring up the fact that normally when I've visited places like this in the summertime, those overhead doors are open. And while I agree, certainly quieter than a train, the train comes through a few times a day. Maybe that would be a concern if they're operating with those doors open. I don't know how many, cages they have, how many people they're going to have in there at a time, or where those overhead doors would be located. If they're located on the east end, away from Market Street, that.
Isn't it close to the senior living there? Is that what?
Yeah, I don't know if the city wants to pull up the map. There's quite a bit of vegetation space there from that, but yeah. So right now, I mean, this sketch only has two large doors, but it doesn't mean that this is the final architectural plan. So most likely it'll probably have a few more, just from an airflow situation. I would if I was.
Would we have to look? I mean, are we going to look at that too before it gets built, or is this the final?
So, I mean, the architectural plans will have to be submitted for building review, but this P&Z board member level, this is all I got. I mean, I got a floor plan too, but
Yeah. No, I don't think I need that. Okay, thank you.
You need to talk in your mic.
Oh,
that's the side elevation. So, I mean, it's
Basic,
extremely basic, but that's really all you kind of need for preliminary plans for a rectangular structure. So,
Those of you that have lived in town for a number of years will remember what this property was like in the 1990s and prior. For those of you that, in the discussion, I'm not sure everybody knows exactly what parcel it is. It's basically when you're going from here towards Denny's on Market Street, just before you cross the railroad tracks, it's that low spot on the east side of Market Street, just before you cross the tracks. And, I mean, it's got to be 30 years since there was anything on that. And at the last thing that was on it was the old foundation left over from when it was some really rundown, rough apartments. And I don't know when it was I don't know when the apartment building was torn down, but the apartment building was torn down, and then the old foundation was left there exposed and was a hazard for years. And then I don't know what transpired that prompted getting the foundation finally removed, but the foundation's probably been gone for what, maybe 20 years? 15?
Less than that.
15 probably, because the foundation was still there when we widened Market Street.
Okay.
But it came out shortly after that. So, but I'd say the foundation's probably been gone maybe 10, if that. It's kind of hard. I mean, and like I say, I've driven past it a million times, and I don't know when it happened.
And my
to change,
observation is that the last time that it was occupied with any viable occupancy of any kind is at least 30 years ago. And
well, it's
Not quite.
not quite 30.
Not quite, because I remember from my days in law enforcement.
Okay.
It was occupied. It wasn't livable, but it was occupied.
Okay. And even though it's zoned residential, I mean, you're literally in the shadow, not just next to the railroad tracks, you're in the shadow of the railroad track there. So it's hard for me to imagine that it would ever be attractive for anyone to actually have a residence there.
Yeah.
No, I'm just looking at that.
Just about 15 feet across the property line, there is somebody that's taken up some residency there, but that's for a different topic of discussion.
Self-sided?
Yeah, let's-
Self-sided home?
Yes.
So that's just my 2 cents, is that I can't recall there ever having been a proposal before us for anything to be done with this piece of property in any time that I've been on P&Z, and that's over 20 years.
I can tell you from a consulting aspect, duplexes and quadplexes have been looked at, try to fit in there, and that's about it of anybody that's ever looked at it in the last 15 years that I can recall, looking at something like that. So, and you're right. I mean, if you're going to build a single family there, that it really wouldn't fit the rest of a single family market, and you'd probably get dinged pretty hard on an appraisal, to be honest with you, in my opinion.
I would make a motion to approve the conditional use permit and site plan for Oakley Baseball Training Facility as submitted.
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Cornell, second by Mrs. Cullum, to recommend approval of conditional use permit CUP 92 and site plan SP 165 as submitted. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Ms. Cullum?
Yes.
Ms. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes. All right, that motion passes by a vote of 8-0 with 2 absent and comes before Board of Aldermen at the Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 meeting. And now we move on to item number 6, which is the request to vacate the right-of-way for the Hawthorne Hills Drive, as discussed by Mr. Burks earlier. Anyone have any further questions or concerns with this one?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for vacating of the right-of-way for the Hawthorne subdivision as discussed previously.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Cullum, second by Mr. Durbin to recommend the request to vacate the right-of-way for Hawthorne Hills Drive as submitted. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Cullum?
Yes.
Ms. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes?
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries by a vote of 8-0 with 2 absent, and will go before the Board of Aldermen on Tuesday, December 19th. And finally, our last item on the agenda is the Forestdale subdivision final plat. That's SUBD 118. And we've seen the plat. Everyone gets to make further comment or ask questions. And these are all, this is large lot. They're going to be 1 acre and larger, so
Some are, I think, even
Some of the lots are even 4
Yeah.
acres.
yeah. We don't see a lot of those anymore these days, so, we're usually getting a little heavier density developments, so it's nice to see one where there's some leg room and elbow room.
Make a motion to approve the final plat for Forestdale subdivision as submitted.
Motion by Mr. Cornell, second by Ms. Madden, to recommend approval of the Forestdale subdivision final plat SUBD 118 as submitted. Any other questions or concerns? All right, roll call vote.
Ms. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Durbin?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Ms. Cullum?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries by a vote of 8-0. And we heard by the Board of Aldermen on the Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 meeting. That's the last item on our agenda for tonight, so we will close the regular meeting and take any report that Mr. Burks has to give us.
We'll have a meeting on January, so I have one item.
Okay. I haven't looked that far ahead to see what date that falls on. The first Thursday in, I think New Year's Day is on a Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to be on Thursday, the 4th. So I guess we'll see everyone after the new year. Anyone have anything else for the good of the group?
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Motion by Mrs. Cullum. We're waiting for a second to close the
Second.
meeting.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Cullum, second by Mr. Cooper to adjourn the meeting. I'm not interested in the discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.